Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here. I have another exciting video for you all, as today we're going to be talking about the square fold law and the creational laws. Now, in the past I have talked about the universal laws map, which basically represents a Star of David, a Merkabah. Of course, I've also talked about the laws of the soul, which could be seen as a simple pentagram. And today, the creational laws, and there's a reason why I call it the creational laws. These are not the laws of creation. Okay, these are the creational laws. Okay, would basically be in the geometry of a hexagram, or a hexagon, sorry, a hexagon. So a hexagon here would be the nature of the 6 creational laws that we'll look at briefly, but I want to focus on one of the particular laws today, which is the square fold law. Okay. So what is the square fold law? Well, there are some ancient traditions, like Wicca, that talk about the threefold law, right? That whatever you put out can be amplified threefold. So basically, for my own research and for my own discoveries inwardly, it is much more appropriate to look at it as a square fold law, as something that actually has 4 times more intensity, rather than the idea of 3. So it is a square fold law. You can almost see like radiating energy coming out of the square here. So why is this important? What is the square fold law all about? It is actually one of the creational laws that I have discovered, and it is referred to as the law of reward. Okay? Now, the law of reward, or the square fold law, basically has a dual purpose to it altogether, which means that one who truly wants to give, who truly wants to contribute, who is grateful for what they receive, will actually receive the law of reward. Okay? This is basically a law that God has put forward in our abilities to create that will bring about a great amplification of abundance to us, right? Which also complements the law of abundance right here. Infinite supply, unlimitedness. So when we are working with the square fold law, we are again being very aware of what we are putting out, right? So if you have an injury, right, and you're working with the higher energies altogether to help in clearing out that injury altogether, you are being grateful for that healing. You are being grateful for that assistance. You're being grateful for that realignment, right? You had a bad forearm, maybe you had a bad bruise on your forearm. You go within, you talk to your own higher levels of consciousness, and there is a command that you create that will help to heal that injury. And while that is happening, you are giving grace, you are giving thanks, you are giving appreciation, right? The law of grace, the law of giving, okay? That is extremely important. We want to make sure that whatever we are asking for is in harmony, all right? We can certainly ask for things for ourselves, but we are being extremely grateful. We're being extremely loving and appreciative for what we are receiving, okay? And that becomes a reward. We get the square fold law. So now when we are humbly asking for assistance in having our body healed in that way, and we are grateful. We are grateful to our higher levels of consciousness. We are grateful to God. And that square fold law works together in a reward. Okay? Now, there is another side to the idea of the square fold law. Okay? The law of reward can also be the law of consequence. I have talked about this in the past, relating to the idea of rebound. Okay? This is where you have to be really, really careful, right? If you guys do not know what you're doing, don't do it. Okay? So, when we are working with the law of reward and we're working with our higher levels, and this is kind of an advanced teaching for you guys, because some of you may not say, well, how do I clear the bruise out of my forearm? Well, you may have to watch a few more of my videos or talk to me privately, right? And I can help you further with that. If you're unsure and you're pretty new to this channel, this is, again, pretty advanced information. Okay, but for those of you who are tuning in regularly, who are subscribers, then you know the history of what I've talked about with many of my videos here, about rebound, about consequence, and of course, looking into the square-fold law. So square-fold law can be like a lens. So let's imagine like this is a lens, okay? And we are asking for assistance from our higher levels of consciousness. All that light is coming in, and now it's radiating, again, without. Okay? And it's like a blessing. You're receiving 4 times the blessing, the abundance that you have put out relating to your intention because you're graceful, because you're thankful, because you're appreciative, right? And of course, if you're doing this for other people, that too is going to bring about reward as well too, okay? And some people, oh, Brad, I don't do this work for reward. Well, of course not. But nonetheless, the universe is going to reward you, right? It's part of the creational laws. It's part of how we create, right? That's what the creational laws represent, the ability for ourselves to create as souls, okay? So the universe is naturally going to support all of the good deeds, all of the selflessness, all of the grace, all the happiness, all of the encouragement that you provide, either harmoniously through yourself and through others, right? We mostly use this work for others, though. That's primarily its nature. Now, what about consequence? What about the law of consequence when we actually turn this around? Well, if we're looking at this like a lens, we're flipping it, okay? It becomes inverted, right? Rather than seeing all this beautiful white majestic light representing reward, it's like the light turns black, okay? And we flip that lens. Well, how does that happen? When you're selfish, when you're greedy, when you are conflicted, right? When you're basically, oh, just give me that, when you squander things, okay? Everything that represents the unnatural energy. Because as I've talked about in previous videos, God did not create lack. Lack is a human creation. And so it's unnatural, right? So when we get into that state of being selfish, of being greedy, of feeling that we have to have all these things and we don't want to share and just give it all to me and I'll hoard all of these things, we get hit with the law of consequence, okay? Especially if you're working with your higher consciousness and you're working with these higher levels of being and you start squandering all these things and you start being very, very selfish and very, very greedy, okay? You are going to get hit. And you are going to get hit with a rebound that relates to the law of consequence, okay? So there is a consequence when we are selfishly trying to hoard all of this energy from the divine, right? The divine lovingly, innocently, and fairly gives us this energy that we require, right? So if it's a bruise on the forearm, and we're saying, yeah, give it to me, okay, I'm done, I'm going to heal this, right? Now we notice that the arm may actually start to get even more and more painful, right? We may actually start to feel the entire arm getting really, really painful. We may actually start to feel ourselves getting sick. Well, what's happening? The square-fold law is inverted, okay? So this square gets flipped around, and it's like a black lens, and all of that black light, as would represent corruption and unnaturalness, hits us, and we get hit 4 times greater than what we have already originally asked for, okay? You cannot negotiate with that, okay? When you flip that lens around and you get a backlash, you get hit with consequence, you're not going to be able to try and negotiate with that. You say, please, please, I'm sorry. Nope, nope. You made this bed, you sit in it, right? It is non-negotiable. So when you get hit with rebound and with consequence, you are going to experience the entire consequence. It's not something that can be bargained with. It's not something that can be negotiated with, right? You're not attempting to get out of it. You can't, right? It's part of a creational law. So this is, again, a reminder to everybody. Be very mindful of what you are putting out. It's even through our day-to-day lives that this is in effect as well, too, because we're creating all the time, right? It doesn't have to be some magnificent form of creation, which it can, But it's just our simple things. How do we treat people on a daily basis, right? If we're yelling at people and say, get away from me, I don't want to help you, get away, get away, get away. Well, there you go. You hit consequence, okay? You got to rebound. Spirit sends you these particular type of people that you are specifically calibrated to assist, to help, right? So much as simple as giving directions on a map, right? Helping a person, tune up their car, right? Helping people with gas money, whatever it is, okay? There are certain people that you are sent because you are calibrated. You have a specific, unique, energetic vibration to yourself. And these people will come to you. And you are meant to be of service. Every single one of us, all 8 billion people on this planet have this, okay? In our own unique way. We come and we serve other people. Other people come to us and say, hey, my car broke down, would you be able to give me a hand? And you're a mechanic, right? Sure, no problem, I'll help you out. Great, law of reward. Boom. Yeah, right there. Law of reward. And now you're getting all this abundance, all these great things. You ask for things, and opportunities are so easy. They come to you like flowing water. It's amazing, right? You asked that you wanted to get a little bit more help financially, bam, it's there. Those are your rewards that are waiting for you in the bleachers, so to speak, right? And you're calling them in. So you stack up the rewards with all of the good deeds and the help that you are doing, okay? You're helping your partner, you're helping your parents, you're helping your siblings, you're helping your kids, right? And you're doing it selflessly. It's not so much as saying, yeah, I'll help you with this, but hey, time to pay up. But I'm your daughter, what's going on here? You're asking me, Dad, to pay up for you, for you to help me with my homework? What's going on here? Okay? So again, it's about that contribution. It's about gracefulness, okay? So the 6 creational laws are, we've already talked about the law of manifestation relating to the 5 acts of manifestation, okay? So there's a law of manifestation, what we're talking about today, the law of reward, the square foot law, the law of grace or the law of giving, okay, which is all about selflessness, really. The law of abundance. Now I'm going to be talking about these creational laws a little bit more in another video, but we're just kind of giving a basic rundown here. The law of abundance is infinite supply, unlimitedness, all right? And that exists with everything, okay? Everything is in unlimited supply. The idea where people get so caught up in saying, our resources are finite, that's a bunch of crap, okay? When you move up into these higher levels of consciousness, when you go to God, you will actually learn how to work with abundance in the most divine ways possible, where everything is available to you. It goes back into the story of Jesus when he was able to multiply the bread and multiply the fish. That was not fiction. That is very true. We have the capability of doing that. So again, the law of abundance. The earth supplies everything that we need. Why do you think that is? Because we're constantly creating abundance all the time. Here's another important one, the law of fact. Okay? Now it's the law of spiritual fact, but nonetheless it is fact. Okay, well what does that mean? Well, the law of spiritual fact is, if it is known to exist, it exists. Very simple, okay? If it is known to exist, it exists. Okay? A lot of these are taught through life and teachings of the masters of the Far East. Okay, they talk about these laws. And of course there is the law of perfection, could also be seen as the law of truth. But truth is basically by itself, I wouldn't really consider it a law. Truth is simply true. Truth for truth's sake. But there is the law of perfection. And like I said, I'll be getting into these creational laws in another video because they are quite extensive. That'll be a future video down the road. But today, I'm mostly talking about the squarefold law. Okay. So again, this is basically something that was originally created from God to bring about reward to his children, right? His children that create abundantly will get 4 times more of what they create. It was all created out of love. It was all created out of sincerity and out of givingness, right? And that is the law of reward. So like I said, some traditions see this as a trifold, as the aspect of a threefold law, okay? But again, from what I've discovered, from the connections I've gone in, it would be more appropriate to call it a squarefold law, right? The fourfold law altogether. And that's a great amplification, right? So if you are helping a person on the street, you're working with them, and you do wonderful things for them, maybe you have a nice talk with them, maybe you help fix their car, whatever it is, right? You now have this abundance of reward all around you and saying, you just ask what you want and you'll get it, right? And it'll come. And again, you're graceful. You're graceful about it, right? And just saying, oh, I'd like to bring in some more financial abundance so that I can take this trip, right? Whatever it is. And now you just see how this easily comes to you. No problem. Bam, 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 bam. Right? And the law of reward is working with you. And the way that you are continuing to be graceful and continuing to be giving, that reward is just gonna stack up. It's gonna go higher and higher and higher and higher, right? But gotta be careful with your selfishness. You gotta be careful of squandering. Because again, this is unfortunately what we have been brought up with, is the idea of greed, is the idea of squandering things, is the idea of selfishness, is the idea of hoarding everything, right? Taking advantage of people, taking advantages of situations that are disharmonious, okay? So again, that lens has two sides to it, okay? We can keep it the natural way, which is spewing all this great white light of reward, and we can flip it, right? And that's actually very unnatural to do. It's very unnatural to flip the law of reward, okay? But we do it because we play with unnatural things. We play with unnatural forces. We play with unnatural emotions. We play with unnatural traumas. We play with unnatural lack. And that is very, very dangerous, okay? That becomes consequence, right? This is why, oh, Brad, am I being punished? I said, well, you're punishing yourself because you are engaging in these forms of unnatural forces, right? The unnatural forces of being constantly in fear, being constantly angry at everybody when they haven't done anything to you. The idea of greed, right? Squandering everything, having to hoard everything for yourself. And I'll get all this, and oh yeah, maybe I'll give him a little sliver here. I'll give my auntie a little sliver here, and that's all she gets. But I get the rest, right? That's unnatural. That is going to cause this lens to flip, okay? And you're going to hit rebound. And as you hit rebound, you're going to get consequence. And that's what's going to happen through. Consequence is, again, whatever you're putting out, you're going to have it intensified 4 times greater. The square-fold law. Like I said, with the idea of the bruise on the arm. Now the entire arm may start to get bruised. You may start to get sick in that way, okay? That's intensifying the energy. Now I have basically brought this video up because there have been quite a few people in the past who I've talked to who have hit rebound, okay? And they just feel like their life is hell. They feel like they're being cursed from above. They feel like there's just a bunch of curses that are happening to them, and the universe hates me, or God hates me, and God has cursed me, and all that stuff. God has never cursed you, okay? God is not a wrathful God. You're looking at the biblical God. You're not looking at the true God, okay? True God does not curse you, all right? This whole law of reward was given out of goodness, okay? It was given out of selflessness, and saying that when my children do some really good deeds, they're going to get rewarded by the universe, right? The universe is going to reward them. That's how I designed the universe, right? Is to encourage good deeds, because now you know how good it feels, and now you're getting so supported with everything that whatever you ask for is just going to pop into your reality just like that. For people that work with the law of reward, with the square-fold law. But when you taint it and you flip it around and you rebound and you get consequence, it's not going to be too good at all. No, you are going to go through hell. You are going to feel like you're cursed, okay? But you want to put a pause on it, right? You want to look at this and saying, I'm constantly creating all this garbage, all this unnatural energy that I know is not myself, and I have the ability to turn it around, okay? So, it's all based upon the intensity of our feelings, right? Our radiant feelings determine the property of the reward or the consequence that we receive. Okay? Your feelings aren't so radiant, well then the energy is not going to be so potent, right? And it can certainly be transcended, right? But if we are basically asking our higher levels of consciousness to bring about something that will create a tremendous shift within ourselves, you're looking at an incredible amount of energy, right? You're looking at an incredible amount of service. That's a big, big thing, okay? And so when we rebound on that, yeah, it's going to be intense. This is why, again, your arm will start to feel like it's entirely bruised, and your body will start to feel very sick and all that, because you have taken something that was given to you innocently and gracefully, and you have perverted it, right? And you have made it into a taintedness. You've made it into a rebound. You've made it into a consequence, okay? And again, even if there's something small, right? Maybe our feelings are not so strong about this, but we're just kind of naturally grumpy and stuff like that. And if we don't resolve it quickly, right, we can get rebound with that, right? If we're yelling at our sister because she just, was playing her music loud in the hallway, and we were trying to do homework, right? And we open the door and say, "Will you shut up?" Right? And then close the door. Well, now you're basically creating something there that will have a tremendous amount of rebound to it, okay? And now there's going to be a lot of mistrust with the sister. Now there's going to be anger with the family and saying, "What did you say to your sister earlier?" Right? And now your family is getting involved with it, and you're just still being grumpy, blah, 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 right? And now the whole family is against you. Okay? That's the example of a rebound. That's the example of a consequence. Okay? Be very, very careful about how you conduct yourself. You want to be aware of yourself, especially as you start walking this path, becoming much more masterful. Okay? Because a lot of the people that are on my channel, that are subscribers, you guys are masterful, right? You guys aren't just like, "Oh, hey, Brad, I'm doing this stuff," and blah, blah. Some of you are, but believe me, I'm talking to a lot of masterful people here, okay? And you want to be very, very aware of your thoughts. You want to be very, very aware of where you are putting your feelings into everything. This is why I say one of the most valuable things that you can have on you is a notebook, right? A diary. And just start writing things down about how things are going each and every single day. Because now this is going to help you to improve yourself. This is going to help to sew up any misdeeds that have happened in the past, right? Unintentionally yelling at your sister, staying grumpy, having the whole family turn against you, right? Asking for a bruise on the arm to be healed, and then squandering that, and not being graceful about it, and just give it to me, just get it done, blah, blah, blah. And that's going to lead to rebound, right? Because it's a selfish request. And so now everything's going to start getting worse with that. We have to be aware that this exists, okay? And we're seeing it very commonly based upon the radiance of our feelings and what we ask from our higher creational levels that are coming through, okay? That can be great intensity. And where there's a great intensity of service being done that is squandered, you are again going to hit some serious rebound, okay? There are certain things right now that I'm not teaching on these videos because it's very, very important that we go through a process. And that's where I'm going to be bringing in the Spirit Ambassador Classroom in November. It is going to be a free classroom for everybody, okay? There will be weekly classrooms held once a week, probably on a Sunday, I think. And I'm going to be teaching a lot of these things to people, really from the ground up, from the beginner to the advanced. And like I said, it's free. People are going to be able to attend it online. There will be a website created for it. And I'm going to be going through a lot of these principles in detail. I'm basically teaching you guys how to go all the way up to God, okay? You're starting right at the beginning of your spiritual awakening, and you're going to go all the way up to God, okay? And that is the entire process of the course, of the entire Spirit Ambassador Classroom. So that'll be coming in November. So like I said, I'm only just teaching bits and pieces right now about these aspects because it's very, very important that we go through a process, even for the advanced people, okay? We have to go through a process, just as I've gone through a process, understanding all of these things independently. So that is the square foot law. This is a sneak peek of the creational laws that, again, will be talked a little bit more in a future video. All right, so thank you very much, everybody, for watching, and I'll speak to you again in another perspective of the now. Take care. Beautiful, sacred geometrical clothing, apparel, and accessories imbued with spirit source energy to heal, rejuvenate, detoxify, and strengthen the body. Shop now at healingcodeshop.com. Thank you very much for checking out my channel. Below you'll see my links to social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also go to healingcodecards.com, pick up your own Healing Code Cards body deck. And of course, check out my website at newearthteachings.com. Thank you once again, and I'll see you in the next video.